Good morning. I hope everybody is doing great this morning. I hope each and every person got a really good night's sleep. I wish I could say that for myself. I didn't. Never mind. It's early and I didn't get a good night's sleep. So, this morning, just want to do a little pop up podcast, just kind of a morning moment with Mel. I want to start out by reading the meditation. This is from Each Day a New Beginning, April the 27th. Okay, so we have the right day. So much to say and so much not to say. Some things are better left unsaid. But so many unsaid things can become a burden. The occasions are many when we'd like to share a feeling, an observation, perhaps even a criticism with someone. The risk is great, however. She might be hurt or he might walk away, leaving us alone. Many times, we need not share our words directly, weighing and measuring the probable outcome and asking for some inner guidance. BB, stop. Leave the food alone. No. My dog's eating my cat's food. Okay, so let me go back. Weighing and measuring the probable outcome and asking for some inner guidance will help us decide when to speak up and when to leave things unsaid. But if our thoughts are seriously interfering with our relationships, we can't ignore them for long. Clearing the air is necessary sometimes, and it freshens all relationships. When we take the risk, creates concentration. But within our quiet spaces, we always know when we must speak up, and the direction will come. The right moment will present itself, and within those quiet spaces, the right words can be found. If I'm uncomfortable with certain people and the feelings don't leave, I will consider what might need to be said. I will open myself to the way and ask to be shown the steps to take. Then I will be patient. That one's a good one because sometimes we're really quick to be critical or judgmental or even corrective criticism. We're really quick to say things that are on our mind when a lot of things are better left unsaid. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, is this going to matter in 5 years? Is it really going to matter in 3 months? And most of the time, it's not. Things really don't matter for that long. Now, if it is something that's continually nagging at you, then do something. Talk to somebody. Tell them what's going on if you find that situation arises. Have to be very careful, though. People will take stuff the wrong way and have no clue that you really never even meant things like that. So you have to be careful. All right. Now I'm going to read another one, not the other one. Another meditation is the Just for Today NA meditation. Recognizing and releasing the resentments. And when I read this title, I thought, well, they could kind of go together because sometimes you have a resentment towards somebody and some bitterness, but you don't really recognize it or realize it's a resentment. And that's why you feel like you got something to say, or that's why you're always wanting to correct them. So this is from page 121 of the NA. No, this 121 of the Just for Today. But it says recognizing and releasing resentments. We want to look our past in the face, see it for what it really was, and release it so we can live today. Basic text, page 29. Many of us had trouble identifying our resentments when we were new in recovery. There we sat with our fourth step in front of us, thinking and thinking, finally deciding that we just didn't have any resentments. Perhaps we talked ourselves into believing we weren't so sick after all. Such unwitting denial of our resentment stems from the condition of our addiction. Most of our feelings were buried and buried deep. After some time in recovery, a new sense of understanding develops. Our most deeply buried feelings began to surface, and those resentments we thought we didn't have suddenly emerge. As we examine these resentments, we may feel tempted to hold on to some of them, especially if we think they're justified. But what we need to remember is that justified resentments are just as burdensome as any other resentment. As our awareness of our liabilities grow, so does our responsibility to let go. We no longer need to hang on to our resentments. We want to rid ourselves of what is undesirable and set ourselves free to recover. Just for today, when I discover a resentment, I'll see it for what it is and let it go. You know, none of this part of recognizing and releasing resentments mentions the other person. It's not somebody else's job to prove themselves worthy of you releasing your resentment. I'm going to say that again. It is not the other person's job to prove they are worthy of you releasing your resentment. When you have these resentments towards people, that's your job to release them. Some people say, I've heard before, if people are pressing your buttons, disarm the button. You can't expect other people to change or take responsibility for their part. I'm sure most of you have also heard having a resentment is like drinking poison, but expecting the other person to die or get sick. I don't like the die part. The other person to get sick. It's like you taking a box of laxative and expecting the other person to have to sit on the toilet the whole time. You know, it's not going to happen. You have to work on doing it for yourself, because all that bitterness and frustration and anger that's inside of you is only hurting you. I know last night when I was thinking about doing this little pop-up podcast, I started thinking about how everybody we've come into contact with adds value to us. Everybody. And then when I thought about that, I started thinking about some of my past encounters with people, some not so good. And I thought, well, how did they add value? And my dog's eating the cat food again. Baby, no, stop it. Everybody adds value. You know, it makes us stronger. Sit there and say, well, you know, if I hadn't been for this person, I wouldn't have these skills. You know, I wouldn't have this mindset. And some of that is true. You know, so everybody adds value. Sometimes it's a lot harder to figure out what value they added. And sometimes it's difficult, but it doesn't take much. I'm like this one lady that I know. She added value. Absolutely. And in a good way. It wasn't that she was a hurtful, toxic relationship with a friend or whatever, and I had to create the value or realize the value out of a bad situation. She added value. I worked with her for several years at a recovery center, and she was my sponsor at one point. Then I found another one because it wasn't really working with her and her being my sponsor. It wasn't that it didn't work. I just found somebody else. Real good lady, real strong-minded, great in her recovery, has been through a lot of situations up and down, worked on her kids, building relationships with her kids, came so far. And I went to Israel with my school, with Emmanuel College, for a mission trip, which was really like a tour, an educational tour, but it was nice. And I took some pictures. Well, she loved photography. So she got some of my pictures and she made them into a portrait. She edited a little bit and made it into a portrait. You know, just that little act added value to me because, you know, something I did, she created something even more beautiful out of something, a random picture that I took. Has it on her wall. Baby, you're not part of this podcast. You are not part of it. No, ma'am. But she has it on her wall, and this, bless this woman's heart, she had C. diff for the past several years. She had like a 3% chance to live, 3 or 5, something like that. The doctors didn't expect her to make it. In the hospital, back and forth, back and forth. She has a beautiful voice, was an amazing singer, loved to read, played the guitar, all these things, and now cannot do any of that. But she continues to have a great outlook on life. She can't think straight. She can't get her words out right. She can't drive anymore. She's had to have one of her daughters takes care of her. Basically, she's finally getting a ride to church, or was got a ride to church last week, or it's coming up this week, and is so excited. Just the joy that she finds in the simple things, and the way that she has this glow about her when she talks about how good her life is. Um, and then when I go to her house, I haven't been in quite some time, but I go there and I see that picture on her wall, and I just see that, you know, I did something good. That adds value. Um, I did something decent, and it's just a little thing. So today, when you're going out and about, and or somebody in your life says something or does something that you appreciate and you think is really great or beautiful or intelligent, let them know. Add value to their life. Even if you don't know this person, if you're at the grocery store going through the line and you see that the person at the cash register scanning your groceries is wearing a color that looks great on them, tell them. Or you feel like saying something positive or uplifting or encouraging, do that. Add value. Now, back to the toxic people. I don't like saying that, even though some of the friends in my life have been toxic. But back to them, some of them made me more careful. Some of them helped me to see things more clearly. Some of them made me stronger in a way. There's some that I could sit there and it'd probably take me a long time to figure out what value was added to my life. But in the whole course of the friendship, I can find something. I can find some way that I'm a better person because of that person. Even the people you have resentments toward, and I have resentments towards, even those people I'm bitter towards, and you're bitter towards, think about the people you're bitter towards. Think about who came to your mind when I was talking about resentments earlier. Those people, they added value. Once you can realize that they added value, you realize that what they added to your life can bring you so much more than what they tried to take away from you. I'm not sure what value it was. And there may be people that you can't find any value they added to your life, but all they did was strip you of a lot of your character or whatever it was in strength. Those people is going to be harder, and don't even worry about them. But the people on your resentment list, it's now, later, and never. That's your resentment list. Write your now list, who you're going to let go of now. Those that you're going to pray about and let go of, or just release, or write a letter to them and burn it or mail it, or whatever you have to do. Those now ones, go ahead and write that list. Work on those. Throw in some later ones. Those people that you might forgive later, or you might not. You don't know. And then the never. Don't even worry about them. The ones that right now you think you could never deal with ever again or get rid of that resentment, write them down as the never. Worry about them later. Maybe they'll move over to the later in the now. Maybe they won't. Work on your now resentments. Realize that those people that you can think of that you can forgive now or let go of your resentment towards now, that's more than likely because they added value to your life. And since they've added value to your life, focus on that value that they added. It doesn't mean you accept what they did negatively. It doesn't mean that what they did was okay. That doesn't mean that is all. It just means that you can take that value that they added, release that resentment from what they took away or they harmed, and get it out of you. Stop taking those X-Lax towards that person, because you're going to end up on the toilet while they're out there living their life and have no reason, no bitterness, no clue of anything you're going through. So accept the value that they added to your life. Release the resentment that you're holding on to that's hurting you, and move forward. Try those today. Try some of that going on today. Try to add value to everybody you come into contact with, because you never know what anybody is going through. And I hope everyone has an amazing, outstanding, stupendous, wonderful day. Okay. And also go to my webpage, www.growbettercoach.com. Sign up for the goal session. It is quite simple, easy. No worries. It's very simple. You probably don't even have to go to all the 8-week sessions, but it is completely free. And what would it hurt to have some extra accountability for a little while? All right. Y'all have a great day.